Hello, and welcome to another Real Raw Moment. And this one might be one of my rawest of moments. I'm not keeping track, but this one is very raw in my heart right today, and I wanted to come on and share it because I think it's super important to talk about what our children want and need. Our alienated children, even our non-alienated children. But of course, we're here for parental alienation, and I am an alienated parent twice over, and I've learned some things along the way. Today I was doing a podcast, and I can't wait to share it with you tomorrow when it drops, talking about the effects of PA on children, the actual abusive nature of it, what it does to them, what it causes, causing anxiety, depression, suicidal ideations, substance abuse, homelessness as they get older. I mean, there's so many things that it can cause and does cause. And that doesn't change just from the child of age. So I'm going to speak about my own experience. As always, these are done in one take. They are real raw moments. I don't edit. I just share in the hopes that it helps at least one other person, or hopefully more. So, I am 49 years old, and my parents helped enact the full alienation in 2016. My parents, now the other side's parents, they all helped too, but my parents did. And of course, that hurts. Of course, at the time, 2016, do the math, I don't know. How long ago was that? Oh, that's like 8 years. Oh my god. A long time ago. Too long. Anyhow. Of course it hurt. And this wasn't the first gap between my parents and I. There have been many. Like many people, I grew up in a less than supportive household. I grew up under all sorts of duress, and what I hold space for is the fact that my parents were dealing with their own trauma, and they chose to, or even didn't have the knowledge to not take it out on me or enact it on me. You know, here in 2024, we have so much more language for what other generations, my generation and others, went through in parenting. You only know what you know. And now we're here at a place where we know more. So I have grace when it comes to how I grew up. I don't have as much grace for my parents aiding and abetting, for lack of a better term, literally, and it was actually that in one afternoon, the alienation of my children in 2016, 2017. Now, what does that have to do with what I'm talking about being a child? Okay, so core memories are a whole big part of how our whole brain works. And I'm not going to go into a whole education about which part of the brain works and which doesn't work. You can follow me for more if you want more of that. I am trauma-informed and trauma-trained, so I can't explain that, but that's not it for here. For here's right now is the inexplicable need for our parents, even when they hurt us. Okay? Just still a little dewy there. Okay. Okay, I got this. So, in life, our core memories will show up in a myriad of ways. And one of mine showed up while I was having a shower. Okay, not TMI, except that I sing in the shower and I blast music. It's one of my little spaces that I don't have to think about anything else. I don't have to deal with anything else. I get to sing. I get to listen to music. I do what I want for those moments, right? I mean, come on. Don't we all sing in the shower? I mean, if you haven't, it's super fun. I had a Spotify mix on of 80s rock anthems. Well, of course, I'm an 80s baby. So, I mean, 70s, but you know what I mean. I'm over explaining myself. You know what? And I will tell you this right in this moment. Do you know why I'm doing that? Because I'm trying to really avoid talking about the hard stuff. So, okay. So, I'm rocking out. And Huey Lewis and the News comes on my Spotify as a part of the mix. And it took me back to being in my dad's Oldsmobile with my mom, passenger seat, and me in the back, and listening to a cassette. Yes, hello, people. If you need to look it up, go and Google it. Of Huey Lewis and the News. It took me right back to those moments. And it got me thinking about how no matter what happens, we really only ever want our parents. We want them to be whole and complete. And in nowadays culture, divorce 50-60% at this point, it's more common than not to have children in a world that have split homes and then have multiple partners. Like, this isn't uncommon, and there's no judgment about it. I just want to speak to the spirit of the child, because we all have the spirit of our child, us, within us. And if you've heard about parenting your inner child, yeah, a little woo, also something that I've studied in and work on and believe in. It's why we react to certain memories. We still long and want that acceptance from both of our parents. It's intrinsic. It's in our DNA. It's in our evolution. It's in the Bible. It depends on it doesn't really matter what you believe in or subscribe to or don't. Children want their parents. I am 49 years old. My parents helped take my children from me. And yet, when I heard that song, I missed that moment. And that's okay. It's okay, because I can remember that there were good moments. But what a wonderful world it would be if those things weren't triggers for just a memory. They were happy memories. And it wasn't a bygone era of that. And it wasn't, I wish it was still like that, because then this happened. And I recognize that my situation with my own parents is not that common, and I've talked to lots of people. I still haven't found one that has the same story, and thank God for that. What I will say is that my inner child still wants that acceptance, and it wants my parents. It wants mom, and it wants dad. I'm 49 years old, and look at me. I'm crying through this video because those emotions are so real. Can you imagine what our alienated, in conflict children feel? And I'm going to say this as a PSA, or what is what I believe. Alienation isn't one-sided. Now, before anyone comes for me, or you can come for me, I would love to know your comments. Here's what I mean. Alienation is perpetrated by an alienator. We can call it narcissistic. We can do all the things. We can do all the math. We can do all the, the TikToks. We can do all the things and say, well, that person's that. But who are we? Who do we choose to be? Who do we become to hold space so that our alienated children aren't making videos like this? That our alienated children have a safe place to come to. And that holding of space and that creation of understanding and support is far harder than probably anything you could ever do in life. It is so incredibly difficult to look within, to work on your own trauma, not just from alienation. Look, we all have trauma. And listen, I can tell you, my children can tell me that they had trauma. Now, do I view their trauma the same as I view my trauma? Well, I'm not going to speak to that. That's up to you to look at for yourself. But it's there. Your bias is there. Your experiences speak to who you are today. But do they need to inform how you act and how you hold space for your alienated or children, grandchildren, half alienated, whatever? Trying to reconnect, trying to reunify. I don't like that word because reunification and me have, well, that's another video. It does start with you. The work actually starts with you. And this may or may not be a popular opinion, as I can tell you from experience. Work on yourself. Become the parent that holds space, that catches all the things. And yeah, you know what? It sucks. It's very hard to hold space when you've got an alienator, an antagonist doing things to your children and doing this and doing that, and it's against you. I get it. It's one of the hardest things I've ever done. And it's one of the best things I've ever done. I've spent, well, time. It's different for everybody. But I wanted to share that. At 49 years old, even though my parents decided to completely go against me. There's not much more demoralizing than that, to be honest with you, as a child. And I'm not the only child in the world that's had this happen. It's just striking that I still want their approval. I still want their love. I still want their acceptance. It is built into children to want that. And in my opinion, it is up to us as alienated parents to step into that role and ensure they have that. And what that looks like for you, I'm not going to say that there isn't a battle, that's not uncomfortable, it's not hard, it's not all the things. But I can say, because I have done it, experienced it, and been successful in it, it does work. It does. And I know it's scary to face your own stuff when you're facing other things too. But when you can reconcile certain things within yourself, that you can be that beacon of light for whenever your alienated children comes around, or whatever court thing you have to face. I'll leave it there. Comments below.